Those were the glorious days when everyone, including the king, used this canal. When one of the waterways got blocked, all navigation was halted. With that water, hyacinth started accumulating and navigation became impossible. I started working on the canal at the age of 17. Years have passed and now I can't work anymore. I am idle at home. I don't know how to do any other job.
Up till 1975, the state of Kerala relied heavily on a network of waterways for transporting goods within the state. Raw materials like iron, molasses, salt, tapioca and earthenware were all ferried on small boats and barges along this 400-kilometer long network. But with the increase of road, rail and air transport, many of the canals fell into disrepair. Rubbish and sewage quickly followed. Today, several of these canals lie stagnant, overgrown with hyacinths and are in desperate need of dredging. In particular, the Parvathy Puthannar Canal or the Royal Canal, which connects the inland areas to the sea. It's been 30 years since Appu worked on the canal. But every day without fail at 7 o'clock sharp, Appu comes to the canal to have his morning tea.
After my father lost his job, our lives became difficult. We reared cattle, sold milk and made a living. Earlier we had money according to the number of husks we carried on the boat. Here, we are being bitten by mosquitoes and when it rains, we experience flooding. Everything is difficult here. If it was cleaned up, things would be better. Earlier, we used to swim and bathe in this canal since our childhood. Now, will anybody even dare to touch it?
Recently, people here are affected with chikungunya and complications of chikungunya like fever and joint pain. Children get pneumonia.
വലിയ പനി നടക്കാനൊക്കാത്തൊരു അവസ്ഥ ക്ഷീണം ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് ചിക്കൻ ഗുനിയയിൽ കാണുന്നത് ഈ മാലിന്യങ്ങൾ ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ
Since there is garbage, there is a chance of getting ill.
മലേറിയ മന്തുകാല് ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള രോഗങ്ങളും ഉണ്ട്.
Mosquitoes in the garbage spread filariasis and malaria. These days, chikungunya is widely seen.
The problem begins here at the city's main sewage treatment plant. Using a basic system of natural gravity filtering, some of the sewage is treated and released back into the canal. The rest of the untreated sewage flows directly into the waterway through 29 drains. To add to the problem, household waste is often emptied into the already stagnant water. The Royal Canal has become a breeding ground for mosquitoes, maggots and bacteria.
The water is just like a standstill. It's just like a water logging. So there is no smooth flow and current flow of the water from one side to another side, so that so many other bacteria are being developed, and it is a really health concern of the people of Kerala is concerned, especially people of Thiruvananthapuram city is concerned.
But government officials may not be aware of the extent of this problem. According to an unpublished study recently carried out by the Pollution Control Board, the water in the Parvathy Puthannar is heavily contaminated. In fact, nearly all parameters have exceeded permissible levels by up to 20 times. The study concludes that the water in the canal is not even fit for bathing. Today, the only people working on the canal are the sand dredgers. They are forced to clear the hyacinths in the polluted water in order to collect sand for construction sites.
Every government which comes to power gives promises and occasionally the canal has been cleaned. But nothing gets done properly. They just do the minimum and pocket the rest of the money. People who stay nearby and workers like us are finding it difficult. By 5 pm, it's very difficult to be in the vicinity due to the mosquitoes. Our eyes and joints start itching, and it's very evident when you see small children. This is what we go through. You people should find a solution.
But the state government is promising an elaborate and ambitious solution. For the last 6 years, they have been trying to finance schemes costing $160 million. Based on a riverwalk project in San Antonio in the US, the projects include dredging the waterway, installing new sewage plants, redirecting drains, and building a new satellite township. The government sees the restoration of the Royal Canal as an important step towards upgrading the area for both tourism and environmental conservation.
We are aiming to restructure, or what we say, renovate the canal by deepening it, and also by removing all these impurities, and to get it renovated in all sense.
Some work did begin on the restoration of the Royal Boathouse a few years ago, but due to lack of funds, it came to a halt.
During the king's time, the canal used to be cleaned regularly. Workers were assigned for this task. All these problems began after the king's rule ended. I am not sure whether we will restore the glory of the canal. Maybe it's possible if it's cleaned.
Major obstacle is the lack of funds.
കേന്ദ്ര ഗവൺമെൻറ് നേരത്തെ തന്നെ ടൂറിസവുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് പല തുകകളും പലപ്പോഴായിട്ട് അനുവദിച്ചു.
Even though the central government has sanctioned tourism-related funds in the past, attempts to clean the canal was futile.
ഒരു സിവറേജ് പ്ലാന്റ് തലസ്ഥാനത്തില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഏറ്റവും.
There is no proper sewage treatment plant in the city. The existing one follows the natural gravity treatment, which is not practical today.
പഴയ കാലത്ത് നാച്ചുറൽ ട്രീറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് നടന്നിരുന്നു. ഇന്ന് അതിനും
Almost all the dirty sewage flows into the canal untreated.
Local councillor Ajikumar lives on the banks of the canal and has been campaigning for the cleanup for the last 8 years. Every morning he has to deal with frustrated neighbors who come to complain. But after all these years, he is skeptical about the government's promises.
ഇവിടെ ബൃഹത്തായ പദ്ധതി കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിലും
authorities are only interested in inauguration festivals. It is always a pompous affair when the cleanup of the canal is inaugurated.
തന്നെയാണ് എപ്പോഴും പാർവതിയുടെ ശോചനീയാവസ്ഥ പരിഹരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുന്നത്. എല്ലാ വർഷവും
Lot of programs are announced every year. All the plan funds allocated from the programs disappears along the way and never really benefits the people here.
പക്ഷേ പദ്ധതി പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം ഇതുവരെ കൈകളിൽ എത്തുന്നില്ല. ആറ്റിലെ കുറേ മണ്ണ് വാരി കരക്കിട്ടു.
What the authorities do is they dredge some sand and declare that the place is clean. The present cleaning process is sheer waste. They are neglecting us people who lives on the banks of the canal. Whenever a disease like cholera is reported, it immediately spreads like wildfire. In these coastal areas, the authorities just try to pacify us with excuses and make no serious effort to prevent future outbreaks. Unless the canal is cleaned and its drainage to the sea is facilitated, only then the many problems of the city like flooding and ill health can be solved.
No one knows whether the Royal Canal will ever be restored to its previous glory. But for the residents of the city, the state of the canal is no longer a question of nostalgia. With the constant outbreaks of diseases in the city, it has become an environmental and health hazard that the government can no longer ignore.